up, y'all? Welcome back to Bethany's show. Today, we're not going to be cooking at all. We're just going to be talking about knives, like this one here. This is a chef's knife, and you can use it with many things when you're cutting, including this block of cheese, where I'll be showing you different cuts that you can use when you're in the kitchen. I'm also going to be talking about proper, safe knife techniques, and telling you how to sharpen a knife, and explaining the motions. Also going to tell you how to clean a knife and how to properly store it. Let's get started. Alright, so the first thing that we're going to get started with is how to properly hold your knife. So, what you're going to do is you're going to rest your thumb on one side of the knife like this. Now, it doesn't matter if you're left-handed or right-handed, it's going to go on one side. Then, you're going to take the rest of your fingers and wrap it around the handle where it will grip naturally when you're holding it. So then, you're going to remember that when you choke up near to the blade, that is how much control you have, and it's going to put less strain on your wrist when you're cutting. It's a good thing to remember. So, now we're going to be talking about cutting. Now there are many things that you can cut in the kitchen, but there are different ways that you can cut it. So we're going to show you our first cut, and it is called the julienne. You can always remember it because it kind of looks like matchsticks. They're very thin, and they're only about 2 inches wide. So we're going to take our piece of block here, and we're just going to pretend it's like a vegetable. And the first thing that we're going to do is square it off. So we're going to cut such as a cut like this, so we can properly get our piece. So now that we have our block, what we're going to do is put it into rectangles that are about 1/8 inch wide. So to properly do that, this is practically already about 2 inches wide. So we're just going to make guesstimate size on how wide a piece of cheese will be. So, making our blocks here, properly doing it. So now that we have stuff like that, what we're going to do is we're going to make it into our matchsticks now. It's about this wide, so I think we maybe can get 3 out of that. So let's try. Here's 1. And there you go. You have your matchstick piece of cheese. It is called the julienne cut. And there you have it. 3 pieces of the julienne cut. That is your first cut. Alright, so the next cut that we're going to be talking about is called the bâtonnet. And it is slightly thicker than the julienne, but you can usually do it in about vegetables. Like if you have like a vegetable plate, you can see it's about 2.5 inches long, which of course is 2.5, but otherwise it's slightly thicker. So we're going to take this block of cheese and we're going to cut it just like one in the real kitchen would do. We're going to say about that wide there. And I think we could cut that in half and it would be the right thickness for the bâtonnet. And there you have it. I don't know if you can see this, but this is the thickness and this is the julienne. It's a little bit thinner, but that is how we like it. Now, the next cut that we will be cutting is the small dice cut. Now, you can find this in many salads, especially carrots, the tiny little cubes called small dice. So, we're going to demonstrate that here, and we're going to take it as from the bâtonnet cut. And it should be square cubes about 1/4 by 1/4 inch thick. So we're going to take it and we're going to cut these small little cubes and we're going to guesstimate about how thick 1/4 of an inch is. Now if you think about a ruler, you know, there's 4/4 in an inch, and so 1/4 inch would be a little bit thinner. So I think I just made my perfect little cubes. And of course, all these sizes will vary. I'm going to come and show you these. As you see, our little dices, they are a beauty. And that is the small dice. Alright, so beyond the small dice cut, we also have the medium dice cut. Now, what that is, it is slightly bigger than the small dice, of course, but it is also from the bâtonnet. And so we're going to take our other bâtonnet slice, and we're just going to cut it a little bit bigger than what we did as the small dice cube. So we're just going to make bigger cubes from it. So as we do that, we're just going to make another make another, keep on making it. And as you see, we have a medium dice cube. Let me show you the difference here. We have the medium dice and the small dice. The medium dice cut. So our last cut that we're going to be doing is the large dice. Now, of course, it's going to be larger than the medium dice. So we're just going to take this extra block because really what it should be is a 1/2 inch cube by 1/2 inch cube. So you know how big inch is, you know, it's about the width of your finger here. These large dices are actually great for stews, you know, such as beef or potatoes or such as. So we're going to count off and guesstimate about a 1/2 inch here, and we're going to say, I think about right there, and we're going to start making our 1/2 inch cubes. So I'm going to show you the medium dice and how much bigger the large dice is compared to it. So we have the medium dice, and now we have the large dice. And that is all the cuts that are mostly famous in the kitchen and when working with culinary. Y'all, so we're done with the cheese, and so I went ahead and set that aside. I went and I cleaned my knife, and I did it properly. How do we do that? Well, what you have to do is run it under hot water, and you can put mild soap on it, rinse it, and being careful not to slide your hand over the blade because it will cut you. Otherwise, another way that you can actually clean your knife is by cutting a potato in half and rubbing the cut side over the blade because the starch in it actually helps prevent rust. Who knew? Also, lemons do the same thing. So, now that that's clean, we're going to be talking how to sharpen your knife. Now, in the kitchen, fancy kitchens, people have steel rods that you can slide your knife over and it actually sharpens it. But this is just a basic kitchen, and we only have a manual one. So we're just going to do that manually. So now that you see, we have a sharpened side and a honed side. Now we're not trying to make it any less sharp. We're actually trying to make it sharp. So we're going to slide it into the sharpen, and we're going to do it into a sweeping motion. Doing it so it goes back, only back, no forward. It's very vital because we're trying to realign the edge. And there's only one way to do that. So we're just going to get started here. And you only want to do it about five or six times. So, like this. Start on the edge here, by the edge. And you can do it just maybe 2 more times. And then you can observe it. And it looks like it's done because you know that you did it 5 or 6 times. And that is how you properly sharpen your knife with a manual sharpener. Alright, y'all. So the last thing that we're going to be talking about is how to properly store your knife. Now, in fancy kitchens, some people have a magnetic strip that you can hang knives on where they don't touch because, as we know, if blades touch each other, they can become dull, and we don't want that because you're continuously having to sharpen it. Otherwise, you can put it into a knife block, in which it's actually just like a block of wood, and you slide your knives into it. But because this is just a regular kitchen, we put it into a drawer. And it's very vital that you keep the blades away from each other, in which that is what is happening. So one thing that we need to remember in kitchens is there's an expression that we always use, and that is mise en place. That means everything in its place, and it's basically just arranging all your tools and ingredients at your workstation before you use it, because everything in its place. Just the same as when everything is in its place when you're done with it. And that is what we're going to be showing you. So I'm going to take you here, and I'm just going to tell you, this is our knife, right? And I'm going to open this drawer here, and I'm going to show you where it goes. So yeah, it just goes right here in this nice little thing. As you can see, they don't touch each other, and that is how that is placed. And so we set you back here. And so that is how you properly store your knives. So I think that is all that we're going to be covering today. I really hope that y'all enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe, comment, let me know what y'all are thinking about my videos. I love y'all guys. Let me know. Peace out, y'all.